Do you want to be including more whole grains in your diet, but want to eat something that's just light and fluffy? I'm Hannah Mason, and in this video, we're going to be exploring the very fluffy quinoa. So as you can see here, quinoa is so tiny. It's like little and speckled, and you can find it in this color, which is like a beige, or you can find it in black or in red. They're all whole grain. They don't sell like a blanched quinoa. That doesn't exist on the market as far as I know. They're just different colors of quinoa. As far as I can tell, they all pretty much taste the same. Color is really nice because it's usually an indication of extra flavonoids or phytonutrients. I don't know. I just got used to having the beige quinoa, so that's usually what I have in my house. Now, this video is a shout out to my dad, Alberto Gatteño, who's been like nudging me to make more videos. He's like, I haven't seen enough videos lately. So, Papi, this video is for you. And I wanted to make the quinoa video just for him because when our family first started learning about quinoa, and that must have been like, golly gee, like 25 years ago, it's not something we were familiar with in Colombia. We always just ate rice. That was like the grain staple. Rice and pasta and bread. That was like, those were the grains that we saw. But my mom found out about quinoa and she started making it and she really liked how light and fluffy it was. And my dad wanted his rice. But he wasn't interested in quinoa and he really didn't like it. So my mom did this really clever thing where she would make a recipe of rice and mix in a little bit of quinoa into it. And so it'd be like 2/3 rice and 1/3 quinoa. And slowly my dad has acquired a taste for quinoa and it's part of him expanding his incredible palate. My father is an incredible chef. And so it's so fun to see him exploring new flavors and new vegetables that he puts into his incredible salads all the time. So in any case, what I really like about quinoa is that it's a very mild flavor. So if you make a stew or a bean dish or a vegetable dish that has a lot of flavor, it will totally overpower the quinoa, and the quinoa just kind of makes everything a little bit lighter, but also it does have a lot of starch. So it's gonna fill you up and it's gonna satiate you. And that's what you want from food. Sometimes people get nervous about having starch because they feel like, oh, it's fattening. Oh, it's got carbohydrates. Oh, carbs are bad for you. And it's like, well, certain carbs are bad for you, like candy bars, but these carbs are really, really good for you. You need the sugar and carbohydrates as the fuel that runs your brain and the rest of your body, and that gives you the energy to run a marathon. So what do marathon runners do the day before marathon? They carb up because they need all of that fuel, just like you need all that fuel. Now, the interesting thing about quinoa is that although all grains have protein, quinoa has an incredible amount of protein. So if you are doing a lot of exercise, building muscle, or wanting to repair a certain part of your body that's injured and you need extra protein for that, so eat lots and lots of this quinoa. Now, growing up, my mother used to make something called arroz con coco, rice with coconut, and it was one of my favorite dishes. And she would spend hours and hours, I don't even know what she did with the coconut, but she did all sorts of work to the coconut to make it so that it was like this creamy, incredible something or other that then she would mix with the rice, and it became this incredible dish. But it took hours of work, and I was like, I really love that taste, but I don't want to spend hours making a dish, and I don't want to teach you a dish that takes hours. So I'm going to tell you my quinoa con coco recipe, which is what I tend to do with the coconut more than I do with rice. So really simple. Quinoa, you put it in a pan and you put it to toast. So you have to actually be constantly like mixing it around and sauteing it around the skillet on a high heat until you can smell that it has a toasty smell. You don't want to see the quinoa brown. You just want to get like a toasty scent. And that takes, I don't know, 3 to 5 minutes, something like that. And then you add 2 cups of water for every cup of quinoa and about half a teaspoon of salt for every cup of quinoa. And you're going to add about a tablespoon or 2 of shredded coconut, depending on how much you like your coconut, per cup of quinoa. And I like to put in a whole cinnamon stick, but if you don't have one, so just add powdered cinnamon. I would say about a quarter to a half a teaspoon of cinnamon per cup of quinoa. And then you keep it on a high heat and you put it to boil. And as soon as the water starts to boil, you cover the quinoa and put it all the way on low. And the quinoa should be done in about 20 minutes. All you have to do is lift up the lid, and the quinoa should be from being like a very dense whitish beige color. It should be totally transparent. And that cinnamon and coconut is going to totally cream up the dish. You could eat that as like a breakfast porridge. If you want to make it more porridgey, you could even add more water, add an extra cup of water for every cup of quinoa, and then it's a really yummy, nourishing oatmeal alternative in the morning. If you want to just have it with your curry, it's really good with a curry stew or something spicy, and it just gives the creaminess as like a counterbalance. Super delicious. So again, get this with the coconut, sweetness, deliciousness. You get your starch, you get tons of protein. It's light and fluffy and delicious. And once you're done cooking with it, you can actually make burgers with your quinoa as well, which is actually what I just heard my son's going to be having this weekend. And if you're looking to up your vitality game in general, not just with quinoa, but also with your mind and your heart and your body, and you want to get everything into alignment, so set up a discovery session. We can work together to see how you can move your life forward, set amazing goals, and take your vitality a whole other level. And if you are curious to know what beliefs are getting in the way of you experiencing the vitality that you've always wanted, so go ahead and take my health quiz. You'll see a link to it below. In the meantime, wishing you many beautiful joys. Want to find out what's blocking your vitality? Quickly take the quiz at hanamason.com/healthquiz.